Hello captains, and welcome to this video where I'll show you my top list of amazing free plugins for XPlane 11. Now there are tons of free plugins out there for XPlane 11 for you to go download, and which plugin you'll find the best will mostly depend on your priorities, which may be different to mine. Therefore, I've chosen to show you as many as 17 freeware XPlane plugins in a personal prioritized list for you to choose from, which should give you at least a handful of must-have plugins for you personally. Maybe there are plugins you didn't know, maybe your priority is different to mine. Again, I'll stress that this is my own personal prioritized list of free plugins. Without further ado, let's start off by number 17, which is Sea Traffic by Marginal. This plugin displays ships moving along real-world ship routes, which is really neat. Number 16 is XChecklist, which is a plugin that lets you download and use community-made checklists for different aircraft. That way you'll always have engine start checklists and so on at hand for all the aircraft you like. Number 15, which is Throttle Display. This is a little fly with lure script plugin that gives you a visual indication of the position of your throttle relative to the auto throttle system, also known from some payware aircraft. This is a really neat feature, particularly when disengaging the autopilot to match the commanded auto throttle position for seamless throttle and speed control. Number 14 is Passengers FX, which is an add-on that adds many sounds to your aircraft to immerse you into an airline environment. There's constantly being added features to the add-on, but here's some of the current features. Over 32 high-definition sounds including ambience, chatter, music, safety video, announcements and more. Announcements that are both automatically triggered and manually played. Dynamic sound levels dependent on your position in the aircraft. The sounds are fully replaceable, so if you don't like a sound you can just replace it with your own or modify it to your needs. Environment dependent chatter. Hear your passengers quiet down when you've reached cruising altitude. Compatible with all aircraft with 2 or more engines, so your passengers are ready to go with you regardless of the airliner. Number 13. Cabin Sounds. This is a fly with lure script plugin that is sort of an extension to, but in many parts also overlaps the Passengers FX plugin, which may force you to choose the one you like the best. The plugin lets you make certain announcements during flight, such as a welcome aboard announcement, safety video or whatever. But the plugin also plays ambient sounds such as passenger background sound or boarding music, or sounds that are triggered by certain conditions such as screams if you roll too steeply or clapping after a good landing and so on. Only your imagination limits the possibilities. Number 12. AutoGate from Marginal is a plugin that adds animated gateways to airports where this feature has been implemented. This will, for example, roll out the gateway when you taxi to the gate, toggle the parking brake and turn off the engines, or roll in the gateway when you push back. Number 11. Rendering Options. Unfortunately, this is a Windows-only plugin dependent on .NET Framework 4.5. I've added a link to an alternative in the video description, which is simply a Lua script that can be used on all platforms. The plugin gives you full control over a lot of the environmental settings that were removed from the user interface from XPlane 10 to 11. The reason for Laminar Research to remove all these settings in the first place was to make the user interface more manageable and at the same time make it easier for the end user to make adjustments according to his or her system specs. That was a good compromise between CPU and GPU dependent settings. I think Laminar have done a great job with the new user interface, and I think the new settings section works well. But if you still want to mess around with the settings you could in XPlane 10, well, this is a plugin you want to use. Number 10 is Airport Navigator. As the name of the plugin implies, this plugin will give you an airport map which will help you navigate around in less familiar airports. The information that the plugin will display is ICAO of the selected airport and its altitude in the white text in the center, runway and helipads in blue, taxiway and aprons in yellow, ramp start positions in green and optional ramp names in white, taxiway network in magenta and optional taxiway names in white, optional radio and ILS frequencies in a separate overlay, and your aircraft and its heading relative to the airport in the red arrow. Next up is number 9. The Terrain Radar and Vertical Situation Display. The plugin adds Terrain Radar feature to either the navigation display if the aircraft is supported or if the aircraft is not supported in an overlay window for all other aircraft. This is great when you fly in mountainous areas, in low visibility or at night. Number 8 is XLive, which is a plugin from Jar Design that adds AI aircraft to XPlane. That way you'll see aircraft taxiing at airports, aircraft taking off and landing, and so on. The plugin exists in 2 versions, this free version and yet another payware version, the deluxe version, which also includes an ATC part of the program. Number 7 is XRAS, Runway Awareness and Advisory System. This plugin, which works for both XPlane 10 and 11, will provide you with different alerts and advise you when operating your aircraft around the airport or during flight. It could, for example, be by telling you when you approach or enter a runway, which runway you've actually entered. Or it could be an alert if you enter a short runway or if you by mistake try to take off from a taxiway. It could also be an alert about the remaining length of runway during a rejected takeoff, or a reminder to change the altimeter setting to standard after climbing through the transition altitude. The plugin has many more functions, so it's very useful. Number 6 is 124th ATC, which is an ATC program for XPlane 10 and 11. The program provides enhanced ATC services and therefore increased realism for your flight simulation experience. Since the plugin is designed to work completely offline, it can be used for any airport at any time. All phases of flight plan filing until taxiing to the gate or parking position at the destination airport are covered by this plugin. Key features are flight plan filing with an option to import flight plan directly from the flight management system, complete IFR clearance allowing individual requests, startup and pushback clearance, taxi, takeoff and departure, flight with handover between ATC centers, requests for flight level changes, direct to waypoints or vectors to airports, and much more. Number 5 is Fly with Lua. Fly with Lua doesn't do much in itself, but it enables you to use scripts that are written for Fly with Lua. Now, some of the previously mentioned plugins are actually not standalone plugins, but rather Fly with Lua scripts that are dependent on this plugin to be installed. Number 4. Better Pushback is an ingenious pushback plugin that gives you full control over the pushback of your airliner. That way you know exactly where your aircraft will move, turn and end up. Furthermore, the animation of the pushback truck is no less than spectacular. Number 3 is X-FMC, which is a free Boeing-style flight management computer that you can use in case your desired aircraft doesn't include an advanced flight management system, or if you simply want an extension of the built-in X-Plane FMS. What's also very useful is that X-FMC can actually be used as sort of a virtual co-pilot to automate certain procedures such as gear, flaps, auto brakes, reverse thrust, etc. to relieve workload on you as the captain. Very neat. Number 2 is Headshake, which is a camera plugin that simulates the influence of G-forces, ground roll, rotor vibration, touchdown effect, etc. It really adds to the immersion of the flight simulation experience whether you fly an airliner, helicopter or general aviation aircraft. Number 1. is X-Camera from Stick and Rudder Studios, which is another ingenious camera plugin that I use all the time. Not only when I make camera transitions for all my flight simulation videos, but also to position cameras to the overhead panel, flight management computer, MCP, pedestrian, wing views, etc. Furthermore, if you're using track IR, then X-Camera will let you restrict the head movements, so you'll no longer stick your head out of the roof of the aircraft. And it'll give you the option to let you use track IR in combination with the headshake plugin. This was the end of my plugins list. Again, you may have a different priority than I, but the list should be long enough for you to find a good handful of plugins that will enhance your flight simulation experience. If you know of any other XPlane plugins that I haven't mentioned that you find extremely useful, please leave a comment in the comment section below this video. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If so, please remember to share, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you very soon.